All right, so we're taking a look at some of the projects that we've made with this Ender 3 and the Ender 5 and talk about some of the experiences and some of the modifications we've made and issues and troubleshooting along the way. Welcome, everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and go live. All right, welcome everyone. I'm going to start the text message over here on the side. For anybody that would like to say hello. So I believe everything is working well. I'm going to go monitor over here and see how it's looking on the live side. And it looks like everything is working pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and bring this down a little bit, bring up some stuff on the screen that we'll be talking about tonight. The DJI Flip, which is my newest drone, the one that I've bought most recently, and I'm really enjoying it. Then we've got the 3 battery Fly More combo for the Neo. I'm highlighting that one now. But in this video, we're also going to be talking about how you can use these recreational drones with your 107 license. So if you're going to use these commercially, what you need to do to upgrade them. And there's a couple of devices that we just flashed on the screen there that can do that. Additionally, if you want to upgrade these drones just to have a little bit better lenses, I guess, camera abilities, then we can play with that. And we'll be talking about my phone, the phone that I use to run the Neo. All right, so let's go back to that Flip and let's get started with the information here. If I can figure out all my screens, I think I got it going here. Oops, bring the right thing over. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. Feel free to leave some comments. If you have any questions, let us know.
Through everything here, we're going to be taking a look at how you can use your recreational drones, the drones that are built for low end.
Hopefully the volume's all right. Let me know.
And great features, but they remove some of the features that we need with our F1 or 107 pilot's license. F107, that would be great, right? Pilot's license. So let's talk about how to upgrade the drones, those recreational drones, back to the 107 level. So we're going to be taking a look at the phone. I guess I have the phone in the case here.
We have a great question coming in. What's the cheapest drone? I would say the cheapest drone, if my audio is working okay, is the Neo. And that one is about one of the first ones we'll talk about here. I can show it on the screen here. And that one is the cheapest. It's the smallest, and it's very capable. It's very easy to fly, and you don't need a remote control. You can use your modern phone, like a decent phone will work with it to be the remote control, but it has a camera that will let you, that will see your hand signals. So you can just, thumb up, peace sign, stop, hand signs to it, and it knows those hand signs. So you can run that drone without anything. They just came out with the Neo 2. That one won't be available on the stores here in the United States. So the Neo is the most recent, least expensive one to grab. However, this Flip that we're about to talk about is about twice the price, but still about half the price of some of the more expensive ones. So that gives you some idea of where these things are in pricing. But thanks for the question. And see Chris is out there. Welcome. So again, if anybody has any questions, I might be missing them. I'm trying to see all the different places that questions might be coming in. But yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for the question. Let me know if that answered it. I can go into more depth with that. Of course, I guess I should caveat. I'm only talking about the DJI drones. There are, of course, toys and less expensive drones out there from other companies. But in the DJIs, the Neo is the least expensive. So because there's commercial and there's recreational drone flying, in other words, with a license or without a license, the companies that make the drones have to kind of make a decision when they build the drone. Am I going to build this for the professional, or am I going to build this for the recreational flyer? So what we're looking at here are two of the DJI models that are built for the recreational flyer, and how you can upgrade those to be used as a commercial pilot. And as a commercial pilot, we have to have a thing called a remote ID, or a digital beacon. That it's like a transponder. If you think of the little black box or something on an airplane, they have to have these pieces that let the air traffic control know where they are. You have to have that on your drone too. So when they build the drones, the manufacturers, they either build it with that or without it, because it's a cost. It's like $30 or something. So they either put that in there, and the drone's going to cost a little bit more, and that might not sit well with recreational flyers who don't need that. But if they put it in there and the recreational flyers are okay with it, then the commercial pilots can use it. And that's how most of the drones are. Sorry, I don't know where my mute is on this one. So when they build them without that for the recreational flyers, when we want to use it commercially, we technically have to add this component, which isn't a big deal, and that's what this video is all about. So let's get into it.
In the case, I keep my phone that I fly with in the case. So this is the Samsung S24 Ultra, great phone and great cameras, but that's what I fly the DJI Neo with. I did until I got the Flip, which got me this new controller. We'll talk about that in a second. So phones, great option. Also lets you film, takeoff, landings, that kind of stuff. So that's what I use my camera for, is B-roll. We're going to be talking about the strobes. That's in this box. And there's two of them in here. So you can put them on two different wings, use them as a green and a red for directional, use them as just plain old strobes on a couple of different drones. They're pretty simple to use. They've got this little button. Hold it down. We're going to get some strobe light here in a second. Actually, no, I have them set right now to just be on. So there's a whole bunch of features. Maybe we can take a look at those if people are interested. Give me some feedback. But really what these are is just two little LED modules that are rechargeable with USB-C. And then they'll attach to the drone. We'll talk more about them. I guess we're just going through it right now. So we'll talk about those. Then I did get this other strobe light, so I wanted to test some other ones out. And this one's even less frills. Look at how small this one is. It's just like in heat shrink. So we'll take a look at that one. In addition to lighting, because of lighting, we have to deal with what the cameras can do. So we have some filters to take a look at. This set for the Flip is a set of bright day filters, they call it. So I got some heavy duty filters and a UV. We'll take a look at those in more depth and how they attach. So we got another question, and I'm going to take a break here to address that one. Let me go ahead and see what happens if I minimize this. And well, I guess there's no point. It's about the same. So Chris had asked, thinking of the answer, but can you use the controller with the screen with the Neo? And that's that's a great question, because that's what I encountered. So I had bought another drone with one of the screens on it, and there's two different remote controls with screens from DJI is the short answer. There's the RC and the RC2, I think, is the difference between them. The RC is clean, and the RC2 has these little antennas sticking up that you can kind of see here. And the RC2 is the newer, more elaborate one. And so the answer to the question is, yes, it can work. The Neo works with the RC2, but it doesn't work with the RC. I owned the RC, and of course I bought the Neo, and it didn't work. So then that was an excuse for me to buy the Flip, because the Flip came with the RC2. So by buying the Flip, that allowed me to use the remote control on both of these two drones. But if you were going to buy one straight for that two, then I would double check, but I would probably check I would probably go with the RC2. Can you fly multiple drones at the same time? As a commercial pilot, you can fly one drone at a time unless you get a waiver. So you can ask the FAA, can I fly more than one at a time? And if you think about the drone, what are they called? The drone air shows, then yeah, of course, they can definitely do it. You just have to ask and then get permission.
And I'm assuming when you ask, I haven't done this yet, but when you ask permission, you're going to be saying when and where. And part of them giving you permission or not is them double checking with, is a giant squadron of planes about to fly through that area or something or not. And then they give you the permission. But in general, no, you only want to fly one at a time. I don't think there's any problem with, two people standing there next to each other flying two different drones, though. In fact, one of my excuses for buying multiple drones is that when I can find other people who are willing to fly with me, if I don't really know any other pilots in real life here where I live, but except a couple of friends that do fly. I'm trying to get my friends to fly, though, because then, I would give them, that drone, and I'll fly this drone, and let's either try to do something or film each other, or at least, play tag or something up there. So, but I'm not sure what you're thinking with multiple drones, but technically you can't. It would be cool if you could plug two drones into one remote control, but I think you'd have to do some kind of a juggling act with two different remote controls if you were actually trying to run two at the same time. Now, DJIs are pretty good about, you fly it, you put it somewhere in space, three-dimensional space, and it's going to stay there. So I guess if you really wanted to, if you had to, and you had a waiver to do it, you could, fly one, put it somewhere, fly up a second one, do whatever you're going to do, maybe film it with that first one. And then once you bring the second one down, go back to that first one and bring it down, because they will stay where you put them. But I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be able to do that without a waiver from the FAA. I'm pretty sure, but we'll keep going. So what we're talking about is I'm kind of been going through the different drone components that I'm going to be, or like upgrades that I'm going to be adding to these two, including the strobe lights for flying at dusk and at night, the remote IDs for flying them as a commercial pilot, and then also the filters for the cameras to give the cameras some additional properties. The cameras are capable, but they're set basically to a set, let's say f-stop. I don't think it's f-stop. It's probably something else. But the filters go in and adjust those hard adjustments to give you some variation, so that if you're, let's say, looking at a sunset, or what I bought them for is if you're looking down at water, you can polarize lenses will let you see into the water and see down through it, so it looks clearer instead of seeing it like a mirror reflection. The lenses for the cameras allow you to manipulate the cameras that way. And these things are very lightweight. They clip onto the drones, so they do add some weight, which brings them out of the under 249 gram category, which is a whole nother thing. But in this case, we're talking about how to make them practical as a commercial pilot, a 107 pilot. And in that case, if it's a registered drone that you're using as a commercial pilot, the weight is, as long as it's under 55 pounds, it's no longer an issue. The grams or whatever aren't an issue. I don't think I mentioned it in the video, but I'm just going to keep bringing it up. This is a giant lunchbox. I think it's designed to bring like to a picnic or something. It's like a big insulated yellow bag, and it's big and it's cubed. It's like a big square, big cube shape, and it allows me to put all my drones in there, in their like in their pouches. I really, really like it. And it's yellow, so I see it in the van. I know not to throw something on it or whatever. I'm really enjoying it. Never thought of using the ND filters. Me either. You know what happened is I've bought a set of ND filters accidentally one time. I didn't know what they were. I thought they were something else, I guess. I thought they were for a different camera. And when I figured out what they were, they clip on the front of a drone gimbal camera, whatever that's called. And they're very lightweight. They're very like fragile looking, but they're made out of metal, so they're actually pretty rigid. And that's when I figured out what they were. Now, what I haven't done is actually fly with them. I literally just bought these a couple of weeks ago, and I just haven't flown enough. But I do plan on, filling up the batteries and then taking the drones up, raw, drop it down, put a filter on, take it up real quick, drop it down, switch the filter, put it up, try to do like a comparison thing like that. All right, let's get back to it. So I think I'm still kind of going through what's on the table here.
We have some filters. I bought some filters for the Neo. And I bought 2 sets of filters for that. This is I forget which one's which. This is the KNF set, though, the one that's highlighted on the screen. We'll take a closer look at that. And then these are the newer. And if I can get that box back open, we'll take a look at it. Most of these come with a little plastic case, and I really dig that. I was looking at everything and haven't figured out how I'm going to carry everything. I'm probably going to need a new bag. Welcome. And this one is a little filter for that guy. We'll take a look at that. Then the really big deal with these recreational drones is that they don't have remote ID. It must cost some amount of money to put them in there. Plus, they figure recreational flyers don't need it. They don't want it. So why charge them? Why even put it in there? Well, if we're 107 pilots flyers and we need them in there, then what do we do? So we have a Holy Stone here. It's this one. And then a Ruku. And that's this one. We'll take a closer look at those and how they're going to attach to the drones. And then we'll take a look at some of these drones over here. So we've got the Neo, and it's a 3-battery Flymore combo. I always get the Flymore combos personally. It's a little bit more upfront, but then you can just fly. You don't have to worry about it. Then we've got the Flip, which is super cool. The arms flip into position and flip down. So it's a quick into action and covered props. That's sort of the difference between these three that we'll take a look at here. And now there's lots of different DJIs. That's mine. The one I first started with, the DJI Mini 3. Standard drone. The props are not enclosed. It folds all up. It's pretty quick to get into action. It came with the RC controller, which has a screen built in. I really like that. The Flip combo comes with the extra batteries and then the RC2 controller. So the reason I'm happy I upgraded to the RC2 controller, and I don't mind having two of them, is that one is synced to that one. This one is synced to this one, but this one also works with this guy. And this one is synced with both of these now. So I can just turn this on. Whichever drone I turn on, it syncs and they start working. So that's a lot of fun. This little guy, the Neo, is probably the one I recommend if you've never had one, or if you've only had the toys before and you're debating if it's worth getting a fancy drone or a real drone. These DJIs are the way to go. I really, really like this Neo. It's been around for a number of years now. You can see how big it is. It literally fits in a cargo pocket on your pants or whatever, easily into most pockets or pouches on a backpack. And they don't need a remote control. They can work, like Chris was asking earlier, they can work with the RC2 remote control. And then probably with newer remote controls. And I didn't mention it, but they also work with the goggles, which is a whole nother level. That's the FPV, or first person view, or something like that. That's where it feels like you're inside the drone itself, like a little tiny pilot. So these Neos work with the goggles. So if you ever invest in the goggles, or if you already have the Avita drone, it's called the Avita 2, I guess, that is like the big brother to this one, or the dad to this one. This one's the little baby. But because it's so little, and because it's the least expensive, I think, of all their drones, it's hardly incapable. Like, it's actually very capable. And because it works without any remote, it can work without any remote controls, means you can just take it out of your pocket. You can't really see the buttons on the back, but there's a button on the back by my finger there that you turn on the thing with. And then this other button up front is the only other button on it. And with that button, you cycle through. There's a little LED that'll show you which mode it's in, but it'll also has a little voice, and it'll tell you, like, follow you, or skyrocket, or spiral, or whatever the different modes are. But it'll do things that you'd expect you'd want a drone to do if you were a content creator, or just somebody filming, your adventures on the weekends. So one of the things, it'll just go like straight up in the air. And then another thing it'll do is kind of spin around you, or it'll go up in some direction and come back to you. So in filming you. So it looks at you, you tell it what to do by pushing the button.
You hold your hand out, and just like a little bird or a little falcon or something, it's going to take off, do whatever it was told to do, and then come back and land in your hand and turn off. So it's super practical. But if you don't want it to just be a little back and forth little robot device like that, you turn on your phone, you go to the DJI app, which you can download, and you run it just like you would any other remote control toy, except it's not a toy. Like say, it's actually pretty capable. Now it is little, so it's gonna, and that means that the wind can pull it around and push it around, and it's not huge, so it doesn't have a lot of engines to fight the wind. So it is susceptible to being pushed around by the wind, which doesn't just mean it's going to be bouncy, because it also means it doesn't go very fast. Like if you want it to go up or down, it takes a little while because it's just got little tiny engines. But again, I don't want to say that it's not capable. Compared to my toys, compared to my $50, $60 toys that I have a lot of, this is much more capable than any of those. So this is definitely a professional one. It's just scaled down. And I just don't want people to think by buying this very inexpensive one that you're going to have the capabilities of the big ones. You don't. It is the tiniest and the fewest capabilities, but those capabilities are more than all the toys. So definitely can wholeheartedly recommend this one as the first one to get, because let's say you get this and you get hooked on them. This wasn't my first one, but I could imagine if you got this one and you got hooked on the DJIs because they're so easy to fly, you're not going to be disappointed that you own this one and whatever you upgrade into, because this one is so handy. So I usually nowadays I keep the Flip with me all the time, and then the Neo is always with me anyway because it's so small. But because the controllers are similar, it's just a no-brainer. I've just got just a little bit smaller one if I ever need it, or if I run out of batteries on the big one, I can still take a camera up. So it's definitely not one that you're going to be disappointed that you bought it. You immediately thought, oh, I need a bigger one, and then now you've got this little one that you never use. Like, it's just such a fun little thing. They have come out with a new one, which isn't going to be available here. So I think this one is going to have a pretty, what do you say? Like, I think it's going to have like a long shelf life in the United States because it's such a capable little guy. Even though the company is moving on to more with this little platform, this one is certainly not lacking. In fact, the only thing it's really lacking from the new one is the radars and stuff, so that I can take this one and fly it into the wall. Some of the more expensive ones, you just can't do that. The radar won't let you smack it into the wall. This one will let you smack it into the wall. So, take that for what it's worth. But it's easy to fly. So I've got hiccups. You're not going to smash this into a wall. I'm just using that as an example. All right, just wanted to take a break there. I'm going to go back to it.
And this guy is $200. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about price. He's inexpensive, and then he's not very expensive if you get the combo with, you get 3 batteries. So this battery goes underneath here. Just kind of push it off, right? And then this allows you to carry them. That's handy. We also plug them in here, and you push that button, and it'll tell you the state of all of them. So these 2 are charged. This one, I'll push that button again. These 2 are charged because they're not blinking, and that guy's got one little blinky light. So this guy's like still 3/4 charged because I took him out today and I couldn't fly this guy, so he didn't even get flown. But even altogether, this guy doesn't weigh very much. Because of that, he's a recreational drone, so a lot of fun. People take him to the beach. You don't need a license or anything to fly him. Now, once you get your license and you want to fly this one professionally, let's say, it has a requirement. It needs a remote ID, which is a transponder that broadcasts the ID of the robot, as well as where it started from, as well as its speed and direction, all the things that might be useful for a airplane that's trying to, not get hit or whatever. So it's a transponder. Well, these don't have them built in. This guy happens to. That's why I have them on the table. These 2 don't, though. This guy's a little bigger. He's still under 200 and something grams. I think it says right here, 249 grams. So this guy's a remote or a recreational flyer. Great camera, really good performance. I've only had this one now for a couple of weeks, but it was designed. I bought it because this guy's fun, but very poor performance compared to the big brothers. This guy's got the performance of a middle brother. He's bigger than this guy, but he's more powerful.
Ghost is asking, is this the one you had when we hung out a few months ago? I don't think so. I think when we hung out, I had this one on the table. That was my first one, and it's the I don't have it listed in the Amazon thing, but it's called the Mini Pro, or the Mini 3. Sorry. And that was the first one I bought. Its arms expand out, and it's what I consider more of the standard like drone these days. It has a very capable camera, a bit more capable than my Neo. But the big difference is, even though it's still under 250 grams complete, like it's a very lightweight version of a drone, and it's one of the smaller DJIs. It has the exposed blades, and I don't know if it's because they're exposed. I think because they're exposed, they're bigger, and because it has bigger blades, it has better performance. But this is like driving around like a really fast Mustang or Corvette or something. This one is like driving around like a Chevrolet, what should I say, like a Cadillac or something. It's got performance, but it's a little slower than this guy. This guy's definitely a hot rod. And then the Neo is like driving around like a Ford Escort or something. Like it'll get you there, but not as fast. It doesn't have the oomph that the others have. I don't think I owned this one. I'm pretty sure I bought this almost directly when I came back from the trip, but I'd have to sit here and think about it for a minute, because I might have bought this right before the trip. But I'm pretty sure when we were sitting in the parking lot, I was using this one. And I know it was this one that I was using because this is the only one that can really get up into the air. Like we were sitting in a parking lot in Arkansas. I guess I won't say where, but let's just say in the middle of Arkansas. And I wanted to get a view of the like amazing scenery, and it was a sunset happening at the time. So I took this one and went straight up as fast as I could to get up past the trees and hills and stuff to see the sunset. And this one would have definitely taken a long time to get up there. And the camera would have been okay, but this was a better camera. But I think I got this one as soon as I got back. And once I had this one, I could fly inside of cars and inside of the tents when we go camping and stuff. I can fly this little guy inside of tents. And that's when I said, okay, the props being covered isn't like a baby thing. That's not like a, just trying to child safe it or something. It accomplishes that, but it also allows you to fly in places where the exposed props just get in the way and it become kind of a hazard, like flying inside of real estate, like if I want to fly inside of somebody's house. So that's why I decided to go with the Flip, which is kind of a middle of these two. It's got a lot more performance than the little guy, but it has some of the features that make it a little easier to fly indoors. And both of these little guys both use the goggles, and using the goggles. Wait, I think the Flip can use goggles. Actually, I don't know about that, but this little guy can use the goggles. I don't have them here in this one. We'll do another video where we talk about the goggles. Those things, I don't even know them yet because I've only flown a couple of times with my goggles, but they are so fun because you feel like you're inside, like a pilot inside the thing. I'm just not comfortable enough knowing, how big the thing is. So it's like flying a plane that you don't know how big its wings are or how powerful its engines are. So I have to get more accustomed to my drones before I fly them that way. But it is so fun. And because I have two goggles, somebody else can be like the co-pilot while I'm flying, so they can see with me what it's like flying from the camera. We did that a couple of times when we were out in the desert, and it was so fun. Okay, so getting back to this one, thanks for the question. I'm pretty sure I had the Mini 3 when we were out in Arkansas. Okay, back to talking about upgrading the Neo to be a commercial drone using the remote ID. So like a transponder that sends out both the information about the drone, but also where it launched, like where on Earth it came from, and what velocity and what speed and what direction it's going. Things that the control tower would want or another airplane might want, if they saw it on a radar screen.
For sure. A little louder, but still in that what they call the recreation class. So it's not large enough that he has a built-in remote ID, because a lot of people that are buying it don't need all that. Right. So again, you get your 107 pilot's license and you decide you do want to fly one of these. So let's take a look at these remote IDs. So this one is from Holystone. It's the remote ID 2. I must have had a 1, I guess. But based on reviews and stuff, I decided to buy this one. These are a bunch of zip ties. So depending on how you want to set it up, it's going to be, you're going to set this up with the FCC the same way this guy is registered with the FCC with its remote ID. This remote ID module will get, let's flip it over, will be registered with the FCC, right? So you'll be registered, it'll be registered to the drone.
Excuse me.
I think you can move it, but you have to tell them. So you might as well just assume it's going to live on that drone. So I think the way I'm going to use it is the Holy Stone is going to be on the flip. So taking a look at it, you get the unit itself, has some power buttons up top. There's a USB port under there. I can turn it on here by holding down the power button. And then I can cycle through some of its modes. So this one is a remote ID and a light, which I think is pretty cool. It's one of the reasons I like this one.
So when you fly as a commercial pilot with a drone, you need to have a remote ID whenever you're flying, and that's with whatever the drone is. These little guys are lightweight, and they're made for recreational pilots to buy them with the least expense, so they leave this module out. That's why we're talking about adding this module. So when you have to add this module to fly it as a commercial pilot, another factor or another component or module on a drone that's almost never there because most people can't fly at night because they're not allowed to, or a lot of us who would technically be able to fly at night aren't interested in flying at night. So let's say we don't do the waivers to fly at night. So that means we don't need the lights on our drones. We have green and red lights to let us know which way the drone is flying. And, you know, when we see it in the air, we know which direction it's pointed based on the lights. But the strobe lights that you would use at night to, you know, to be an alert for other flying objects, those aren't necessary. But if we want to fly it at night, if we do have the 107 license and we want to file the waivers and fly it at night or at dusk, it is necessary for us to have strobes on there. So this Holy Stone remote ID module goes ahead and also offers strobe lights. And I think that's a handy thing because we're often worried about weight, you know, not just for the initial weight of takeoff based on recreational or not, but in general, whenever you're talking about any aircraft, the lighter the weight, the longer the fuel's going to last, right? The farther you can go, the faster you can go, all that kind of stuff. So having this module do the light and the remote ID at the same time is a pretty cool idea, I thought. It's a little heavier than the other one, obviously, because it's got probably a bigger battery because it has to do both. And then it has the lights and then the case to be able to hold it all. It is bigger. But if you've got in this case, I've got it on the flip, the drone can handle the extra weight. So kind of that's why it went to that one.
Now, depending on how you're going to attach it, there's this physical clip, there's those zip ties, and then there's some hook and loop adhesive ways. So you're probably going to want to find a place that doesn't affect the center of gravity, and then you'll attach it, and then it'll be able to charge separately than the drone, of course, and it'll have its own power switch. I'll go ahead and turn it back off again. And it'll just live on there and act as that remote ID transceiver, transponder, whatever it is. So I think I'm going to go with that one on here. And I'll show you why. Now we're going to take a look at the Roku.
So Holy Stone makes drones and Roku makes drones, and they make these remote ID modules.
Both instead of just the one. Like instead of buying two of the one type, I buy one of each. In case there's any big differences physically. And I'm glad I did because there are some differences physically. They both ship in almost the same configuration, really. In this like plastic cases, zip ties, and a silicone bag. USB, pretty much the same physical little strappy thing if you want to use that. 3M adhesives. The big difference is this one doesn't have any strobe feature. So we've got the power button here. Now it's on. We've got the USB on the side here, no rubber or anything on this one. So it's a little bit lighter weight, I suspect. If we just look at them, the Roku looks smaller. I can't show you every site because this is on barcodes, which I just showed you. So, right, like they're close, but this guy I think is a little smaller. Because of that, I think it's going to live on the Flip. Same situation. We'll find a spot where it can live, where it's not going to affect the center of gravity. The drone will just incorporate it into its math, and then we'll charge it separately. Whatever the button is, it has its own power button. I'll probably put a power button in the back so we get a little more weatherproofing. And there you go. So those are the remote IDs, and that's the big upgrade that'll take these recreational drones from non-broadcasting and no transceivers to having transceivers. In addition to compliance and in addition to being visible to the ground and other aircraft, you might want to enhance or upgrade the cameras on these. And the way you do that is with these filters. So we'll take a look at this little guy first. This is the newer CPL filter. And the way this one works is it has this really delicate little aluminum. I mean, it's stiff and it's metal, but it's very delicate. It's little. And it's little claws and a little metal kind of ring there. We'll take the cover off of the Neo, and you can kind of put the lens here, or I guess you go with the claws first up onto those cooling vents, and then you just clip it down. And it's just on the front of the camera there. Gimbal doesn't care. It still moves around freely and everything. When you want to remove it, you just hold the camera pretty steady and flick the lens, and that'll release it. You'll just let go. Now it stays in this little case so that it doesn't get dirty or smashed. That math kind of matters, that it's at the right angle to clip on the front there. And this is a set of similar filters to what I bought for the Flip. These are from K&F also. And this is your ND filters, a series of them. ND8, ND16, 32, and 64. Then there's the PL filter and the ultraviolet filter. So the polarizing, I think, is what the PL is. So these, if you're going to be...
So what's annoying with the filter sets is like one company sells them as like bright day, dark night or something like that. So there's like, 6 filters, and then 4 of them are gradients, and then 2 of them are other things like UV or something. And I guess that's nice because, okay, I mean, if I'm filming during the day and I'm filming at night, I do need different filters. But it's lame that they sell them as 2 kits because like 3 or 4 of the filters are the same in each kit. So I'd much rather they just sell like a complete kit, which is every filter for, 7 filters or something. But instead, they take the 7 and they sell them as 2 sets of 6 or something. So that makes it kind of frustrating. You end up having duplicates potentially. So instead of having duplicates, I went with the bright filters since I'm in Arizona, and sacrifice some of the dark filters that I kind of want to have because I do intend to fly at night once I get my waivers going and stuff. Maria's out there. Welcome. So again, thanks to everybody for the questions. I'll go ahead and keep going here.
Flying over water, you want to have a polarized lens so that you can kind of see through the water. Ideally, if it's clear water, see underneath. You don't just get all the reflections. And if it's a real bright day like we have here in Arizona quite a bit, this will help you essentially bring down the f-stops kind of permanently, or adjust the camera so that it gets less UV light, gives you a better range, I guess, of colors, I guess is the idea. Basically, though, with a range like this, is it lets you, and with 3 batteries, it lets you get up there and try some different things. So since you never know which one's going to be ideal for the circumstances, the colors of the sky, the clouds, the shadowing, whatever, this gives you kind of a set. You take it up, you check it out, take it up, check it out. So along those same lines, I did the same for the Flip. I got a free well set. So just a different brand. They come with a microfiber cloth, which I thought was pretty cool.
I can see the Amazon is letting me see who's clicking on everything. Well, not who, but when people are clicking on stuff. So this is one of the things that people have been clicking on. So if there's any questions about it, feel free. But I'm pretty sure we're about to put it on the drone so you can see how it connects.
The newer came with a fun microfiber cloth as well, by the way. And then these are in a set that work a little bit differently, just because the flip is a different flyer, right? So we'll take that cover off the flip, and it's a little different because it has a cover, and then it also has this rubber sleeve, which is a little tougher to get off one-handed. In fact, I don't think I can. So I kind of hold my camera and peel off that thing. It's kind of like taking the hood off of a bird of prey, right? And then, so these kind of just pop onto the front. So I'll do the same. I'll try to hold that camera steady. So I'm not pushing against the gimbal. I'm just pushing against my finger. And just kind of snap that in. Am I seeing that on the camera good? Trying to watch at the same time. But you get the idea. That just will snap into place there. Doesn't add much weight. This one's plastic. This one doesn't add much weight. And now you've got that lens. I don't remember which one I picked up here, one of the PLs. But these will be, again, a gradient from 8 to whatever it was, 1,000. So this one's for bright days. And then there's that UV again. And these can be left on, but for me, I think I'm going to still always film kind of raw, then go back and film with the filters so I can start to compare. I'm not familiar enough with them yet. All right, I don't have a way to mute, so. All right, I think we got through everything pretty much on the list here. Kind of started out with that strobe light, and let's see, that's this one first. So the Vifly is definitely small. It's just a circuit board with the lights, a switch right on the circuit board, and then a little battery underneath. The USB is part of the circuit board. I'm going to hold down that power button. I don't know how well the camera is going to pick up the quick strobe here, but it is strobing pretty good. And this thing doesn't weigh much. I should have brought out a little tiny scale or a lightweight scale to look at pickups to see how much these things weigh. As you noticed when it turned off, there's a couple of modes here. I leave my strobes to just plain old strobe. I don't need them for marking or identifying or anything like that. So, but this is a cool one. You can get these in multiples at a time right away. So if you're going to put them on multiple drones, you've got that option. Now, okay, so this one came with the USB cable and hook and loop. Some adhesive hook and loop so that you can get this onto a drone with very lightweight. What do you need the strobe for? Either recreational or 107. I think recreational can fly in dusk, and you're going to want a strobe just so it's easy to see the thing if you don't see it. If you're a 107 pilot and you want to fly with a waiver at night, you need a strobe, and it's going to be a bigger strobe than we've got, comes with the drones. So that's where these things come into play. Or if you're going to fly dusk as a 107, you can fly, half an hour before and after dusk, and that's where we're going to want to have strobes. So now I have this one set to turn on straight to the just on, which is what I would fly with, I think. But if I toggle through, you can see there's different options. Now we'll get some blinking options and then some combo options. So these are handy because they come in sets of 2 or more, and you can use these on larger drones to help identify left and right and that kind of thing. So I think I'm going to try to get mine to come back to just plain old solid. I really like this one where it fades. All right, so just plain old solid, some double clicks and some clicks is all you do to kind of toggle through. And whenever you turn it off by holding down the button and you turn it back on, it's going to go to the mode you left it. Super smart little devices. These, the button is at the end here, and they're just a nice little housing. The housing has these little hooks on it. What I really liked about these is they came along with a lot of stuff to attach it. So like a lot of them, they came with adhesive, 3M adhesive hook and loops. But they also, and then a charging cable, but they also come with these silicone bands. Not that that's clever. It's very lightweight, very secure way to get these on an arm or even on the body of a small one. So strobes are handy for, again, flying at dusk or with a waiver at night. And that's the 2-pack there of those StarTurk. And then again, I have the S24 as my phone of choice for flying the drone or flying the Neo. I don't know if I can fly the Flip with a phone. I'll have to find that out if I can. Extra points. So nobody's really asked any questions. I just really wanted to go through and talk about some of the ways that you can make your recreational DJI drones 107 compliant. In other words, be able to fly these for commercial use. And all you really need to do is add the GPS transponder or the remote ID. And again, for flying at night, you got strobes. But if you're going to be adding stuff to your drone anyway, we've also talked about some filters for the cameras just to get a little bit better performance out of those lenses. There's also another factor that when you put these filters on the front, you're giving yourself physically some protection if you do fall out of the sky or hit something. You've got a little physical protection to that lens. There's nothing good to be said. It's always a good idea. All right, with that, we'll go back through. We've got the phone. Now, some people use the Apples. That's fine. I just don't have one. Then you've got those strobes that we talked about. You can buy these multiples.
I'll pause it there and talk about the phone there for a bit. I've been using, whenever I came back from my trip, I got sick of my old phones. I've been using some really 3, 4, 5-year-old phones that were, I've had them for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, and friends gave them to me. Like, they were older phones. They were decent phones. I'm not complaining. Like, thank you, Pink. He gave me some really nice phones, and they allowed me to go for years on old tech. But the trip really showed the slowness of them when I was out driving around in August, I guess. The trip that Ghost was talking about. I think I seen Chris out there too, by the way. So anyway, when I came back from that trip, I decided I was going to upgrade, and I went with the Samsung S24 Ultra for a couple of reasons. I've got it put up on the screen there. First, I went with the S24, which is like what 2 or 3 years ago's model, because a friend helped me figure this out. It's older, so I'm paying less than I would be for the brand new one, but I'm getting pretty close to the same features of a fairly new one, right? It's 3 years old now or something, 3 models old. So it doesn't have the newest features, but it has pretty decent features. But the part I really liked is that this S24 is, well, I'm going to say 6 years now, but when I bought it, I bought it in September. So it's 7 years worth of compatibility, which means that the OS on it is going to be viable for at least the next 7 years. Like the Android has whatever, like whenever they build a model of their operating system, they tell you how long they're going to plan on supporting it. So this one had 7 years of forward usability, and I really, like I just said, I have been using my old phones for a long time. So the idea that the phone that I was buying new, I wanted it to be able to go forward as much as possible. So that's why I went with the S24. It gives me a little bit older phone, so I could pay less for it, have pretty good features, but not be buying a dead end, on the technology tree. I'm buying something that is planning on existing for another 7 or 6 years. And then I bought the Ultra because the S24, I guess, when you buy these Samsung phones, they come with 3 different models, like economical, normal, and then professional. And the Ultra means the professional level cameras. At least for me, that's all I cared about was the cameras. There's, I think, an extra camera, or they're just more capable cameras. And I forgot what the price is difference, but whatever the price was, I figured, I'd rather have the best camera possible. So I went with the Ultra, and then the only other variable would be the megabytes. So I went with actually a 512. This purple one is a 256, and there's really no difference. I don't use the full 512, but I figure if I went on a trip or something and I never, for some reason I wasn't able to offload the pictures, I'd want the 512. But honestly, the 256 is plenty. So you pay a little bit more for how much RAMs are in there, I guess, or whatever that is. So, or I guess that's gigabytes of hard drive. But anyway, that's why I went with the Samsung S24. And I bought that because the reason I got those old phones was because my even older phones wouldn't work with my drones at all, even my toy drones. So with these DJIs, I really wanted a decent phone so that when I control them with my phones, which you can do with a lot of them, I wanted to have, a phone that was responsive and capable. And I'm really happy with it. It wasn't cheap, but again, about half the price of a brand new one. So even though it wasn't cheap, it wasn't as expensive as a brand new one. Anyway, we'll keep going.
At a time, the V-Fly, Bi-Fleet are much lighter weight, less features. We've got the couple of different Freewell and newer and K&F. Take a look at some different filters for the cameras on these. And then again, the real reason we're chatting is the remote ID modules or the transponders. The one from Roku is a little smaller. The one from Holystone, a little bit larger. Basically similar though. The Holystone does have strobes. I have lights where the others didn't. And we're talking about the Neo and the Flip predominantly because those are the two recreational drones I'm going to be upgrading here.
So if there's any other questions about the Flip or the Neo, let me know because we are kind of getting towards the end of this one. I'll have another drone live that we'll do. I'm not sure if I'll do one tonight still. It's late, but it's not too late. I might do another drone one tonight. Give me some feedback. But then if we don't do it tonight, we'll do it tomorrow. And that one will go into way more depth. It's about literally 3 times longer than this one. This one, I only went into the 2 drones. And this is actually when I bought the remote ID modules for these 2 recreational drones. And when I started buying the strobe lights, because I wanted to start seeing how much weight they are, how they perform with the strobe lights, that kind of thing. Because again, these are, they're drones, they're capable, but they'll perform differently when you start adding more weight, and where you put that weight matters too. So I want to not just add these modules, but find the ideal place to put the modules with, for example, if I'm using the remote ID and strobes, I want to know where I can put those pieces on the drones to definitely not hinder their performance, but basically allow me to have either one or both of those modules on. So anyway, I have a lot of thinking to do, and part of that involves probably temporarily putting them on and flying, seeing their performance and stuff like that. But this is when I first bought all the parts to be able to start doing those upgrades. The other video that I'm talking about, though, is where I bring out all my drones and the goggles and the remote controls, and we talk more about the capabilities and maybe the reasons to buy each of them, reasons why I bought each of them, and then we can get into more nuts and bolts with the drone models themselves. Like I said, there's really only 2 or 3 on the table right here. With that, we'll kind of go through some of these again. I'll let the thing finish out here, and then we'll go through the items on the table one last time. Feel free to come up with any comments or questions you've got before we end this one here in a couple of bit.
And then we've got the 3 over there, which has a built-in remote ID, so it doesn't need the additional. And if you did need the strobes, you can go with these real easily on that guy as well. All right, that brings us back to the beginning, which is the end of this one. Thanks you for joining us, and have a great night.
So I'm curious if I've been watching it for a bit, and even if you're in the market or whatever, which of these you might be more apt to be curious about, the Flip or the Neo. The Flip is a bit larger. They both have enclosed, I guess you call them the fan blades or the props. They both have both enclosed bumpers around them, but then also cages so that it wouldn't be difficult to poke a finger into there. I mean, you can poke a stick or grass and stuff can still get in there. So it's not like they're Nerf or something, but very much easier to deal with. And I think another issue, even though they're larger, there's more space to them. Because the props are completely enclosed, I think the props are less fragile. Where my other one in the background there with the normal props, I guess, or however you want to say, like the props that are not guarded, they're just susceptible. They'll hit rocks and they'll hit walls and stuff. Where these are basically bumpers. So if this guy comes up and hits a sign or a wall or a tree or something, it's the housing that bumps the wall or the tree or the sign, not the propellers. So I'm assuming, I haven't owned them long enough, but I'm assuming that the propellers are going to last a bit longer with these enclosed ones. There's a difference, so you get less performance. So they do not perform as well as the ones without the bumpers. But otherwise, the Neo doesn't fold, and I think that's such a big feature. And I didn't think about it until I owned it. Actually, Chris owns a different one, and I think yours folds, right? Like yours is kind of like the Flip and the Neo mix, right? Because yours is smaller, and then it folds. Because the Neo doesn't fold, the only thing you got to do is pull off this protector off of the gimbal or the camera. There's like a little piece of plastic that covers that. And you'd want to leave that on. It's not worth leaving that off or something for speed. But you just have to peel that off. Now you do have to stow it somewhere. That's annoying because I wish they really put some kind of thought into where you could put these covers. None of them fit into the like battery holders. None of them fit into the controllers. It would just be so practical for them to put some kind of a little nub that lets you click it onto your controller, even if no one did it. Some people might like it. I think it would be nice to be able to know where that is. I usually throw it in the bag, but then, for these, it's not a problem. I throw the cover into the bag it comes from, but the Neo doesn't have a bag. The whole point of the Neo is just be able to drag it around. So I keep it in my pocket all the time when I'm out hiking or doing stuff. And I almost always fly it with my phone. I only have flown it without the remote control to test it and to play with it. So I'd rather know what I'm doing and see the video and tell it when to record and all that with the phone. So I use the phone in this, but it's so practical. Like, it's just so easy. We haven't really been talking about the drones till now, but I always buy them. Every drone I bought from DJI, I buy the Fly More combo. And that means that they can fly more because they give you more batteries. So we've got 3 batteries right away. And the other nice part about buying their Fly More combos, as opposed to just buying the drone and some extra batteries, is the combos come with the battery holder thingy, which you put all your batteries into it and then you charge it, but it also is an indicator to let you know which of your batteries is charged and which one isn't. So I'm going to recommend that you mark your batteries so you keep track of, battery 1, 2, and 3 or 4 or whatever, and don't use one all the time. Try to use 1, then 2, then 3. But the battery charger will help you figure out which one is charged at the time, which is super handy. And I haven't used this feature, but it might be, in a pinch or something. When you have the batteries in the combo kits, the batteries become a big power supply. So if you had 3 charged batteries and you weren't going to be flying your drone, but you needed to power your phone, you could charge your phone with your batteries. And that's just a neat, kind of survival hack or something. Chris had the hover. I would like to play with that one then, because I really thought you had the Neo, and I just never thought about it. But just to see the differences for sure. But because, like I was saying, the when you had that one and I wasn't thinking, because that one folds, it's a little different. So the Flip, which is a bit larger, you can kind of see the 2 of them there. It's wings, legs, arms, whatever you want to call these things, they fold down underneath, and they kind of look like coasters because of the size of them, and they look like a stack of coasters, really. But when it opens up, it just takes a moment. And when you open it, the act of opening it is what turns it on. So that's kind of handy. So you don't have to fiddle with the button if you're trying to get the drone up in the air quickly as a reaction to something, or you just, you only have moments or something for a shot. The flip lends itself to quickly getting it into the air. And the camera on it is really nice. You do have the cover, I guess, for the gimbal. And then there's also that sleeve or whatever, the case or something that's on the camera. And you could leave that off, I guess, so that it's a little quicker to deploy. But anyway, so the drones themselves are pretty nice. And I have not, I've had the Neo now for months, and I use it all the time. I carry it around all the time now that I've got my license. I literally keep a drone with me all the time because I'm hoping to get sunset pictures and stuff. I want to have the drones with me when everything aligns and there's just some good footage to get. And that's when I started figuring out that the Neo has got two things. Of all the things it's got going for it, it has two things that I needed from it still: more camera and more performance. It just takes forever. I'm at 3,000 feet, 2,400 to 3,000 feet, depending on where I'm at in town. So right away, the air is a little thin for the little tiny props. When I go up onto a mountain or something at 10,000 feet, it does not fly very well compared to the other ones because the air is so thin. So for those reasons, the Neo is fun, but it's so slow. So I wanted something that could just be more capable, get up into the air and give me some real estate shots. So that's why I went with the flip. And I don't know if the camera will do what I want, but I'm hoping it will. It seems pretty capable. There's a lot to learn on these things. As I'm learning the everything about them, the cameras will be one of those things I find out. I think the flip, though, is pretty respectable camera. So for those reasons, it's a little bit quicker or a little bit more time to deploy, but still much quicker than the standard drones. And then again, that boost in performance of both the camera and the motors or the engine or whatever you want to call it, it's like abilities compared to that Neo. Now the Neo 2, game changer. I'm not sure. We won't have it available to us here, so be a little bit what do you say, like a little bit of a non-issue, I guess. But for now, since the Neo and the Flip are the two that we have available to us, I think it's hopefully it's not too hard a decision. I know for some people you're going to be right on the line, and it is not practical to buy both of them for most people. But curious to hear what people's thoughts are. If you're going to go with the Flip or if you're going to go with that Neo. All right, well, I think with that, I haven't had a question in a while. We still have a lot of people watching, so it's always a tough one to make the decision to cut it. But I do appreciate all the people clicking on everything, all the appreciation for the live, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. I'm going to go ahead and end that one. And I'm not sure what I can say over there. So ended, published. Okay, good. So I appreciate everybody's patience with the format and what we're doing here, kind of playing around with, it's Black Friday and all that. But we had a bunch of views over there and a bunch of clicks on stuff. So that's cool. And I have no idea. I don't really make money on it. It'd be nice if I did, but it'd be interesting to, I don't know when they tell me if I made money on it, I guess is what I'm saying. So I don't know about that part of it. But there's all kinds of weird rules about what you're supposed to say and what you're not supposed to say as far as pricing and like thanks for watching and that kind of stuff. It's weird. It's just different than here, but here, meaning X and YouTube, it's just different rules, but it's still is tedious. So let me know. I think I'm going to go with, actually, I should probably just look. I have all the stuff scheduled here. I'm a little bit off on my timing, I think, because I got this last one started. Yeah, I think I'm doing a puzzle one for a bit. So feel free to join if you'd like. Otherwise, I can understand if you don't want to. But these little puzzly games, they're not really Rubik's Cubes. We're going to be playing with them for a while, or I'm going to be listening to myself play with them for a while, if that sounds weird. It is. So we'll end this one. Say thanks to everybody. Thanks again to Chris for getting me started. I'm not blaming you for getting me started on these drones because Pink kind of started me on these things, but thank you for sure for getting me interested in that little guy, even though I was incorrect on which one you had. The little guy is amazing. And I forget who else, somebody else had one that was really happy with it. And those two recommendations were like what got me to buy it. And I couldn't be happier. It is the funnest little one. The only thing I'm complaining about with it is it doesn't fly inside the house as much as I'd like. Like it just, I guess I don't have a bright enough house. It needs like a very bright building to fly inside. I can fly it inside at like warehouses and stuff, no problem. But in my house, it's too dark, I guess. So it just crashes into stuff all the time. But anyway, thanks again. I will end this and be doing more of these as the evening goes on and tomorrow.